So let's take a look at what it takes to put together a table for the distillation lab. Now, I've opened up this spreadsheet to do the work because you can do the math a lot faster with a spreadsheet when you have repeated math calculations. Now, you don't really have to have all these columns. If you want to do the math by hand on your calculator and just plug in values, the things that you need in your table will be a column for volume of ethanol, you need a column for the mass of ethanol, you need a column for the volume of solution and for the mass of the solution, and the volume of the solution in liters. You don't really have to have that column. You don't really have to have moles of ethanol, although that's a good idea to have there. You could just calculate that on your own. If you give me the mass and you give me the volume in liters, I can calculate what the moles should be or the molar concentration should be. But this way you've got everything in one place. It's up to you as to whether you do that. You also need the mass of the solution here and the volume of the solution in milliliters to calculate the density. So you really only have to have volume of ethanol, mass of ethanol, volume of solution either in milliliters or liters, molar concentration, and density. But I've made it a little more complete here to make the math a little easier. So let's take a look at what we can put into this table. So first of all, let's talk about how we get this volume of 1.00 milliliters. I'm going to go to a picture of the graduated cylinder here that you're going to be using, or you did use for the lab. And if you look carefully, when I taught you how to do measurements with a graduated cylinder, you're supposed to estimate the last digit. So if I can get this sort of turned so that we don't have so much of a glare in there and you can see what's going on, I'll move this a little closer to the camera. And I guess I could maybe focus. Let's see if I can at that level. That's a little bit easier to see what's going on. All right. So let's say my measurement is, this is an 8 right there, and that's 8.1 right there and 8.2. Let's say the measurement is in between 8.1 and 8.2. I'll turn this way to see more about what's going on. Let's see if I can do that so there's not too much glare on it. All right, let's say that our measurement is right there, okay? So we're in between 8.1, well, right there, 8.1 and 8.2. So what you have to do if you're going to do the measurements properly is estimate where it is between 8.1 and 8.2. Well, that's actually between 8.2 and 8.3. That'd be 8.1 and 8.2 there. Right in, let's see, right in there somewhere. Okay? All right. So I have to estimate where it is in between 8.1 and 8.2. So it's not 8.1, it's not 8.2, it's in between 8.1 and 8.2. So the estimate is somewhere in between. Maybe it's 8.13, maybe it's 8.16. You have to be reasonable in your estimate, but you don't have to be dead on what it is. The next person could be a hundredth of a milliliter different from you. A hundredth would be in that, if I said 8.13, that 3 would be in the hundredths place, okay? So it really depends on what you think that measurement is and what you reason, and it has to be reasonable. If it's more than 8.15, you can't estimate 8.12. That's not more than 8.15. So it has to be within that reasonable range. All right, so once you have the decimal places right, then everything else starts to work out for you, okay? Now, let's go back to the spreadsheet then. All right, so I said my volume was 1.00 milliliters. If I measure the mass of that, let's see, mass. Oh, that said mass. This is in grams to the mass. Okay. All right. So if I measure the mass, I should get something in the neighborhood of. And you need to use your mass. Don't use my mass. Use the mass that you actually measured, because you might have, say, instead of 1.00, Maybe you've got slightly more or less, and your mass will be slightly different, or the temperature is slightly off, okay? Temperature will affect density. So you could have a density of 0.79 grams, okay, for a mass of ethanol. It should be somewhere in that range, somewhere close to that. So then we have to calculate the moles of ethanol. For that, we have to know what the molar mass is. So ethanol's formula, let me refocus this thing because I've changed the focus so you can see that a little closer. There we go. Ethanol's formula is CH3, CH2, OH. So if we're going to calculate the molar mass, we're going to have carbons and hydrogens and oxygens. We're going to look on the periodic table, and we see that the atomic mass of carbon is 12.0107. Now, if you're an AP student, if you're an honor student, that's a prerequisite for AP, you'll be using a different table that has slightly different numbers, more rounded off numbers, but you still use whatever's on the periodic table. So 12.0107, and hydrogen's atomic mass, 1.00794, and oxygen's atomic mass is 15.9994. And I have 2 carbons in this formula, so I'll multiply that times 2. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hydrogens, and I have 1 oxygen. So this is going to be 24.0214, and this is 1.00794 times 6. So that's 6.04764. And then this is times 1, so that's 15.9994. I'm going to add those together. And we've got empty slots above and below the 4, the way I've lined this up. And so I get 46.06844, but the last 4 is an insignificant digit because it's added to these empty slots here. We're going to round this off now. And so the molar mass you have to calculate for me, 46.0684, rounding off that 4, grams of ethanol. That's CH3, CH2, OH, and that's equal to 1 mole. CH3, CH2, OH. Okay, so back to our table now. And so to get the moles of ethanol, we need to do the math. Let's figure out how that's going to work, okay? All right, back to our thing here. So if we have a mass of ethanol of 0.79 grams, excuse me, of CH3, CH2, OH, and we use this molar mass to find the moles. We'll put the 46.0684 grams on the bottom so that it'll cancel the grams on the top. 46.0684 grams, CH3, CH2, OH, and the other side or top of this fraction needs to be the 1 mole. CH3, CH2, OH. Now, if I do that math, I will get moles because grams are going to cancel out and ethanol is going to cancel out and it'll leave me with moles. So what that tells me is I just take whatever the mass is and divide it by the molar mass. So let's go back to that table then. And so I'm going to take this number here. What I want to do is to double click into that cell and put an equal sign there. And then I'm going to click on this cell right here. Okay, so what it's doing is it's copying whatever's in cell C3. Okay, and I'm going to divide. I'm going to hit the / button on the keyboard. Okay, and I'm going to put in that 46.0684. Okay, and so that's the moles of ethanol. Now that's too wide to fit in there. We don't need that many digits anyway. We really only need 2 digits here. But we'll find out later on. Yeah, let's see. Let's use 3 digits here just for this one. Okay, so I'll go up here to the top and we'll see this little button here, decrease the decimal places. All right, I'm gonna click that and click that and click that. For some reason it doesn't want to do it. Let's see. There we go. Now it's decreasing. So I'm going to use 3 digits here. Now if I go back and do one more, see that 5 right there? So really it's not rounding, it's just taking off digits, okay? Now the fact is that it's rounding in a way that we don't know. I'm not going to get into why. You can just use the rounded answer there that the computer gives you. All right, so the volume of the solution is always going to be 10 milliliters, but it's 10.00 because we are, remember, estimating that last digit, 10.00. Oh, I'm sorry, what did I click there? Fix that. Seem to be hitting buttons I don't want to hit, okay? All right, so it only shows 10. When I hit 10.00, it gets rid of those 2 digits. So I'm gonna go back up here and double hit this, hit that cell, and hit this, increase the decimal places so I can see that it's 10 with 2 zeros after the decimal there, okay? All right, now you should also be measuring the mass of the solution, okay? I don't have that number in front of me, but let's see. This would be where we added the 9. I'm just going to put a number in there. 0. Let's see. Let's say it's 9.89. Okay, I don't know what it actually is, but I'm just going to put in 9.89. The volume of solution in liters is this, but we have to convert that. Okay, so let's go back to our piece of paper here and look at what that means. Okay. All right, so I've got 10 milliliters. I want to convert that to liters. Remember, there are 1,000, and you have to write out an equality statement for these things. 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter. And so I'll put the 1,000 milliliters on the bottom and the 1 liter on the top and do the math. And we get 0.01 liters, but I need 4 significant digits. These 2 numbers aren't used for significant digits because they're this is a defined equality. So these don't count. I need 4 digits because there are 4 digits here. So 1, the leading zeros are not significant. That's the first significant digit here. 1 and 3 zeros after will give me 4 significant digits, okay? So I can see that if I take whatever that volume is and divide by 1,000, I'll get the liters, the amount in liters, okay? So let's go back to our spreadsheet now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click that. I'm going to click in this cell, and I'm going to hit the equals button there. I'm going to click that so it's copying what's in E3, cell E3, and I'm going to take that and divide by 1,000, hit enter, and I get that, but it doesn't have enough significant digits. So again, I'm going to go back up here and click that over until I get the right number of significant digits, okay? Now, molar concentration is always moles divided by the volume of solution, right? So I need to take and click in that cell, click equals, and let's see. I want to take moles, so I'm going to click moles. That's what's copying that cell. I'm going to divide by the volume, that cell, and I get this molar concentration. But I only need 3 significant digits. So again, I'm clicking right here and going up here and shortening up the number of digits I have. Okay, so that's the molar concentration of that solution. Density is the mass of the solution divided by the volume of the solution, but it's got to be grams divided by milliliters. Okay, so this time we're going to click in that cell, click equals, go over here and find the mass and click that. Okay, copy that cell, divided by the volume in milliliters, and click equals, and there's the density, okay, for this particular solution. All right. So this will be what's going to go on my horizontal axis. That's the independent variable. This will go on my vertical axis. That's the dependent variable. Okay. Right now, we just want to create a table. So you're going to have different volumes each time. I don't want milliliters in the cell. I only want the numbers. But again, I need to have the right number of significant digits. And so this is 2, and this is 3, and 4, and 5, if you did it right. Okay, but they got to have the right number of significant digits. So I'm going to highlight the whole string of cells here. And I'm going to go up here and tell it to increase the number of digits. Whoop, it's only doing the last one here. Let's do all of these. All right, now I've got the right number of significant digits for all of these. Okay. Mass, let's say, just for the sake of this, that this would be 1.58. All right, so if I click on this cell right here, and there's a little box in the bottom corner, I'm going to put that mouse over that. See how it becomes a plus sign? I'm going to hold down my left mouse button and drag, and it does the math for me. It takes the same math. Let's look at the math here, okay? So I took that, it takes that C4 right there and divides by 40, that same molar mass amount, okay, just like this one. Only now it's C4 is dividing. So it's doing the math for me. I can do the math repeatedly like that. The volume of solution will always be the same. So let's see if I can copy it down there. Okay, there we go. What I did was I want to click on, let's back that up. I'm going to click on this cell, and I'm going to drag all the way down. Okay, and I've copied all those down there. That's the same. Okay. Now we need to know the mass of the solution. I don't know what it's going to be. Let's see. Let's say the next one is 9.72. I don't know what it is. We're just going to put a number in there. Okay. And you'll have to put in your own numbers for these. Volume of the solution, drag that down. Okay, and now you've got the volume of solution. Just drag it in there. Molar concentration, well, because the math is here, I want to drag it down. It's going to do the same math, copying the right cells here. So the molar concentration is going to be 3.43. And the density, drag it down, and I've got 1.58. So that way you can get a table a lot faster, okay, by having it having a spreadsheet do the math for you. So now I'm going to show you how to paste that and make a table out of it without having to manually type in everything in your post-lab. So your post-lab document is the Unit 8 post-lab report distillation of ethanol. Okay, let's go to the spreadsheet. And now what I want to do is just highlight all of this that I created. Okay? Highlight, I'm going to copy it. Now there's several ways to copy it. Edit, copy is one way. Another way is on the keyboard, hold down the control button and press the C button. That'll copy it. Okay? And then I'm going to go back over where I have the table here. I won't need this table unless you want to use that and type things in, you can. But I'm just going to put my cursor up here. I'm going to right click and paste. Okay? It asks, do I want to link to the spreadsheet? And you can do that. If you want, that way if you change the math, I think it's going to automatically update the math in here. Doesn't matter which way you do this, okay? I'm going to do link to the spreadsheet. Okay, and there it is. It's in there. Now, it needs to be cleaned up a little bit because it doesn't fit so well. The width is a little off. So there's a couple of ways to do that. Let's see. One thing I can do is I can make these last two columns a little wider. I'm going to move my mouse over to the border between those last two columns and just left click and drag. Okay. That makes that a little bit narrower. Okay, and I can drag this one over. Okay, and then I can drag this one over so that that fits in there a little better. Okay, drag that one over. Okay, drag that one over. So ethanol then is a whole word. And I just keep working on it until everything's kind of straightened out and looks a little better. Okay. All right, that looks pretty good. I still have to have a table label. Okay, going back to my spreadsheet, then I started the table up here, but you can't use this. You have to actually type in what your table description is. So, but what I'm doing, I'm going to copy just those words. I'm going to click in that cell and double click so that I highlight all the words there, just as a place to start. I think I will. There we go. And I'm going to copy it. So again, you can use Control, hold down the Control button and then press the C button on your keyboard. That's one way to copy it. And then I can put my cursor right there and paste. And so the writing's too big. So I'm just going to highlight it and lower the size down to say let's make it 11. And I want to change, it doesn't matter really whether you change it or not, but I want to change it into Times New Roman. But this isn't what you're going to leave there. You're going to have to write your own table description. I just wrote what's supposed to be in that table description. Summarize what measurements and calculations are in this table and why they are important. So when you finish all that, you'll have a table with all the math done for you a little faster if you want to do it that way. Okay? But again, you don't have to have every column that I have, but you can do it that way. And the math is done for you a lot faster by using a spreadsheet. So for just this part of the assignment, I want to see a complete and formal table. Okay? And then you're going to build a graph based on the independent dependent variable. For the graph, you're only going to need these last two columns of data here. Okay? The last two, I can't get it to highlight it, but these last two columns here. That's the data you're going to put into your graph for the standard curve. And then once you have a standard curve, you can determine, using that, you can determine from the density of the distillate you acquired, that's the ethanol solution you finish at the end of distillation with, you're going to compare that to the graph to get the concentration.